You're watching KLTX, Channel 15, serving the city of Lufkin.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to see all y'all here. Welcome to the March 1st Friday Luncheon. I'm Brian Sear, the 2020 Chairman of the Board for the Chamber of Commerce. We're glad to have all y'all here with us today. At this time, I would like to ask Reverend Kenneth Bungie with First Lutheran Church to come forward and say the invocation.
Please pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for what you have given us, rains and also sunshine. We ask for your blessing in both profit and nonprofits in this community. We ask also as we pay attention to our health in general, but also to pay particular attention to any caution to the coronavirus, and also the community, that the medical staff may be on particular guard in prevention and prevention education. We ask that you be with us in this meal and be with the presenter, and with all ears open to hear what they have to say. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Bungie. We're excited, as always, to welcome several new investors to the Chamber. This is a great organization to be a part of, and I would strongly encourage you to attend events and get involved with your Chamber. When your name is called, please stand and be recognized. Lucky 7 Blasting, Lori Roth. Lifeline Center for Health, Hillary McElroy. Senator Robert Nichols. Supplement Warehouse, Hunter Landry. Anchor Behavior Consulting and Counseling Services, Cindy Gamble. And Shepherd Street Yoga, Jackie Johnston. Thank you. Thank you. Please give them a round of applause.
Did you say this one?
She's not online. Oh, we're going to add one. A Compassionate Home Health Services, Jessica Knight. Are you here? Yeah. Jessica, thank you so much. Sorry we missed you. There you go.
I don't know.
We all know it takes sponsors to make events like this happen. I would like to thank our First Friday Luncheon sponsor, Lufkin Coca-Cola, Lynn and her team up here at the front. Thank you, Lynn.
Today we are honored to welcome Colonel Graham Jones, Director of Law Enforcement with Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. Graham Jones is a 26-year law enforcement veteran and the Director of Texas Parks and Wildlife Department Law Enforcement Division. As TPWD Law Enforcement Division Director, Colonel Jones oversees a force of 551 highly trained state game wardens that provide law enforcement off the pavement across Texas, as well as 128 dedicated non-commissioned support staff. Though state game wardens focus primarily on conservation laws, they are fully commissioned peace officers authorized to enforce all state statutes. During his career with TPWD, he has served as a field game warden in East Texas, a sergeant investigator in environmental crimes, a captain and a major in internal affairs, the chief special operations, and now as the director of law enforcement. He grew up in Houston and has been actively involved in conservation efforts through the Coastal Conservation Association. He received a Bachelor of Science from Stephen F. Austin State University and attended the National FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia. He and his wife, Julie, have 2 daughters. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. I feel like I'm kind of coming home. You know, I went to Stephen F. Austin, and I know a lot of folks in the room went to Stephen F. Austin as well. We got the table of troublemakers back there in the corner back there, so watch those guys. You got Chief of Staff Kevin Davis, Game Warden James Barge, Game Warden Sam Shanafelt, and Game Warden Philip Wood. it's interesting, and some other troublemakers are back there too, but I rode with Philip's dad. He was a state game warden in Nacogdoches when I was at SFA. He was the first Texas game warden that I ever rode with, and sort of took me under his wing, and here I am today. So I just always feel that I need to mention that. We'll get to sort of how important outreach and education is to our future, to all of our futures, towards the end of this program. But I just kind of wanted to talk about that too. The other thing too, I always I joked about the troublemakers, but I always try to identify them. There's another table over here, and they kind of flagged me over and said, "Hey, are you the speaker?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm the speaker." And they said, "Well, now all the animals, all the animals in the state, who do they belong to?" And I said, "Well, they belong to the people of Texas, the people of the great state of Texas. They belong to all of us." And they said, "Well, don't they really belong to you?" And I said, "Well, no, not really." Well, they wanted me to say yes, because then they said, "Well, come get your hogs." So anyway, yeah, hogs are a problem. And so I'm going to run through a presentation and talk a little bit about what we do. And then we'll be happy to take some questions as well. So again, just really happy to be here today. But that's the blue badge. That's what our game wardens wear. That's what we've been wearing that for a long time. We've been around since 1895. So there's a lot of history over that 125 years, and we'll talk about some of that today. So again, honored to be here today. So I wanted to talk a little bit about and be thinking about this as we're going through this presentation. 1983 versus today. So I shot my first deer in 1983. I shot a white-tailed doe off of Highway 1431 between Lago Vista, Texas, and Marble Falls. I didn't shoot it from the highway, but I shot it all, adjacent on property to the highway. But the interesting thing about that, when you start thinking about this state and start thinking about the growth and the demographics and what's changing and how that affects you and the commerce here in Lufkin, Texas, is that, that was 1983. The population of Texas was 16 million, okay? It hasn't gone up 25% or 50% or 75%. The population of Texas has doubled. We're at 30 million. So, again, as we're talking through this presentation and we think about the demands on our natural resources, it's not less important, it's more important that we know and that we learn to conserve those natural resources, that we treat those natural resources wisely, that we understand the demands on those natural resources, and we'll get into some of those locally, how that affects you all as well in the presentation. Talk about a little bit of background, some structure, our mission, and the future. So again, I mentioned it's a proud tradition, and hopefully this won't be a death by PowerPoint, but I just wanted to show you all some pictures. Again, we've been doing it a long time. There's some hoop nets and that, Model T up there, and that wasn't far from here, 100 years ago or so. We have 265,000 square miles in this incredible state. Our game wardens work out, and a lot of people don't know this, we work out to 200 miles in the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, so our 9 nautical miles, we extend past that to 200 miles. Our game wardens have federal commissions through the federal government as law enforcement officers to work out in the Gulf of Mexico as well, something that we take very seriously. 5,607 square miles of lakes, and we'll talk about that. We have 551 game wardens, as I said. And a little bit about what we do. So let's kind of start with our training academy. So we require all of our game wardens to have a 4-year college degree. We're one of the few law enforcement agencies in the state that has that requirement. And I know that we've got a future game warden out here and a couple of future game wardens out here. One of them's in, I think, is she 5th grade, I think? Is that right? Yep, she's 10 years old. So she's got a few years to go before she attends the Game Warden Training Center. But it's a 6.5, 7-month long in-residence training academy, one of the longest in the state. And again, it's something that that every game warden goes through this, okay? It's for 7 months. That's our last graduating cadet class. Wanted to talk about a little bit about our teams as well that we have. In addition to, our game wardens are stationed to a specific county. And of course, you've got some of your local game wardens here today, but in addition to that, we have some statewide teams, and we've got one of our K-9 officers here. Just a couple of our teams that we have. We have our Marine Accident Investigation Team. some of our tactical response teams, our honor guard, our search and rescue. We'll talk about search and rescue, marine theft, mentioned canine, and our dive team. Also the dive team was actually started over here in East Texas. River, okay, that's what we got going on here, right? We all know what's going on. The white bass run is starting as well. Spring breaks around the corner here. So, our game wardens in East Texas, what we do, we work the rivers. A lot of activity on the rivers, a lot of fishing, a lot of recreational use. And unfortunately, there's a little bit of poaching that goes along on those rivers as well. I mentioned the offshore fishing that happens. This actually was a shrimp vessel that was keeping just a lot of red snapper as well, and they can't do that in this particular example. So we run into a lot of that out in the Gulf of Mexico. Of course, we do our hunting patrol, our normal resource protection. That's down on the coast. Commercial oyster fishing, that's another big deal. And a lot of people don't think about the safety of oysters. Oysters is big business. It's millions and millions of dollars worth to the economy. You could go get oysters here in Lufkin. What our game wardens do, we do our best to make sure that when you're consuming seafood, that you're consuming seafood that's safe. We work oyster boats that unfortunately that are oystering in polluted waters. We catch oysters from coming in that's illegal to bring in from Mexico at the points of entry at the border that are being smuggled into Texas. So we work those types of cases. So the oystering is big business in Texas, and it's something that takes up a lot of our time on the coast. Obviously, some of our recreational catch there. It's big. It's very, very important to work, the fishing aspect too. And of course, as I mentioned, we're going to talk specifically about Rayburn Reservoir here in a few minutes. But, fishing enforcement is a big part of what we do. This is something that I think, again, it's far from here, but, who doesn't love a sea turtle, right? And so, it's like sea turtle conservation. There's a game warden and there's a sea turtle, big deal, right? Well, when these cold fronts and these cold snaps happen and the temperature drops dramatically, those sea turtles get stunned. Who's going to go pick them up? Well, we're already out there. We've got the resources. We've got the vessels. That's what we're going to do. And that's one boat. And so, again, it's the role of Texas Game Wardens in conservation, because this matters. When you guys take off and want to go down to Port A or want to go down to, somewhere on the coast and you're walking the jetties, you want to see those sea turtles. In this one event last year, our game wardens picked up 4,000 of them, okay? So what they do is they take them in, they take them to a rehabber, they get them warmed up, they let the cold front pass, and they go back and release them again. So super proud of this, and that's something that, again, it's far from Lufkin, but it matters to all of us. Boat accident investigations, lots and lots of boat accidents, unfortunately. Those 30 million people that we're talking about, again, the population in Lufkin, I'm not sure, 35,000, 36,000. I wasn't too far off. But these people are coming in and they're leaving Houston, they're leaving Dallas, they're leaving San Antonio, and they're going to recreate on the weekends. So with that, traffic increases, and so do the boat accidents. So that's something that we take very, very seriously as we do boating intoxication and other drug and alcohol offenses on the water. It's something that we're very diligent about dealing with. Crab trap cleanup again down on the coast. Every year there's a couple of days for a week that we close the crab season, and we go and we pick up these nets. We gather these traps, we take them in. Thousands and thousands of these, because they just keep killing. They keep taking the resource. Some gill nets again. Anyone, I mentioned the rivers. Unfortunately, we still have some folks netting the rivers. We'll have some folks netting the lakes. I've got a picture of that too. This is down on the coast. Just recently, you can see in that net, there's a lot of snook, there's a lot of trout. That's at Boca Chica, right down there where the Rio Grande opens up into the Gulf of Mexico. This is on an area lake, and that bass was pulled out of a gill net. So again, that directly affects all of us in this room. She doesn't look too happy either, does she? This was again, as we mentioned, that game wardens are state peace officers. That's a marijuana seizure that we made down on the Rio Grande. we don't wake up in the morning saying we're going to go out and chase down the drug runners, but by the nature of what we do and when we do it, I noticed DPS is in the room there. DPS is a partner for Texas Game Wardens, both in Lufkin and down on the coast and down on the border and throughout the state. I texted with Director McGraw this morning on a situation, as he's the director of Texas Department of Public Safety. We work extremely closely together with them, as we do with our other law enforcement partners, our constables, our sheriff's office, local police departments. But again, our folks run into this. We run into this all the time down on the border. And it's something that I want our folks to have the training and the equipment to be able to take care of that, and they do, and they will, and they know that when they run into this sort of thing, they know how to take care of it, and I'm extremely proud of the way they handle these situations. That's down, I believe that particular image is on the Pecos River down in West Texas. That's, I believe, the Rio Grande there. It might be the Pecos. But again, what a wonderful office. Some hoop nets here. Again, that's something that's a staple in East Texas. Unfortunately, still our local game wardens are finding these nets out in the rivers and in the lakes. They take a lot of fish. They kill turtles. All sorts of aquatic product get in the nets. Now, I told Carl Ray Polk I was not going to show a picture of his truck on this presentation, but when I talked to him last night, but anyway, no, he's a good friend and a huge supporter of Texas Parks and Wildlife, and he was the one that originally invited us here. So I know he couldn't be here today, but he's a great man. But no, this is what our game wardens, this is what these guys and other law enforcement are running into. Okay, this is why we train hard. This is why we have the equipment that we have. This is why that we need your support. All these pictures and everything that I'm showing here, we couldn't do any of this without your support. A lot of these calls come into Operation Game Thief. A lot of these calls come into the sheriff's office, or it's just the relationship that you have with your game warden. And I say your game warden because I and these guys work for you. Okay? We are your game warden. That's the most important thing I want you to leave here understanding today. We work for you, and we're proud of that. Okay? I love it when someone walks up to me and says, "Well, do you know James Barge?" Well, as a matter of fact, I do. Well, he's my game warden. Yes, that's exactly right. Some of the, again, you can look at this and you can see, these are all real, and these are recent pictures. You stop someone at 3 a.m. and they've got, multiple firearms. A lot of times they're drunk or on drugs, unfortunately, and knives and all sorts of things. And, at best, you're maybe another game warden. Most of the time you're by yourself and you take care of business just because that's what you've been trained to do. But it's a dangerous job. We've lost 19 Texas game wardens since 1895, and that's something that that's what keeps us all awake at night, is the safety of our officers. Lake Patrol here is pretty busy, one of the busy coves going on there. Something we're really proud of is our response to natural disasters and Hurricane Katrina. We rescued almost 6,000 folks during Katrina. We sent 111 Texas Game Wardens to New Orleans. We evacuated 3 different hospitals there, and a lot of folks in between there. But that's what changed the way we respond to natural disasters was Katrina. We were at the West Fertilizer Plant as well. Explosion. We were one of the first on the scene there, and we worked there with DPS for about 3 weeks and didn't leave, so local law enforcement could take care of what they needed to. We talk also a lot about natural disaster. This is over in Central Texas after a catastrophic flood that happened a year and a half ago. This is actually local in the East Texas area after some tornadoes. Again, it's just by the nature of what we're doing and where we are, a lot of times we're some of the first on the scene. That's from our helicopter. By the way, our helicopter was in Huntington this morning. I'm really proud of that. These local game wardens back there organized it to come to a career day. So it's not every day we didn't fly in it, we drove, but we got to get our helicopter here to show your kids some opportunity of if they are interested in being in law enforcement or being a Texas Game Warden. So how many kids do you think were there for that event? 500 kids. So that's something that we really take a lot of pride in. Am I doing okay on time?
You're great.
Okay. Again, flood response. We rescue thousands and thousands of Texans every year Okay, we rescued 12,000 people at Hurricane Harvey. Okay, we're not going to get up there and wave the flag and say, look at us, but I want y'all to know, because that's where your money is paying the bills. And to me, that's something that's life-saving. Our mission, we all know what our mission is, protection of natural resources. But when a natural disaster occurs, that takes precedence and that becomes a priority, and that's something that we take very, very seriously. Our first 2 game wardens that died in the line of duty, died in 1919. They drowned while responding to a hurricane in Corpus. So we've been responding to hurricanes and natural disasters for more than 100 years. So I mentioned I was going to talk a little bit about our future. Those 500 kids that we were able to reach in Huntington this morning. This right here, what can you do? I mentioned how the population's growing and changing, demographics are changing, everything's changing. It's becoming more expensive to hunt. It's harder to get a lease. Bass boats go up every year. All these things. We have got to take our kids hunting and fishing. We have got to get our kids outside. If you have a neighbor and the neighbor has kids, take them fishing, take them hunting. That is the most important message I can possibly say. That is our future. Because when people stop buying hunting and fishing licenses, when people stop buying fishing rods and shotguns to go hunting with, the money dries up, okay? So that right there, and let me tell you, in this community of East Texas, your community, unbelievable response from landowners, from leaseholders, from our partners. You guys open your gates up and let us take part with these youth hunting and fishing outreach events. And it's something so we require every game warden in Texas to do 2 public programs a year. Those guys in the back right there, I guarantee you their number's probably closer to 20, 25, 30 events a year that they do. No one ever gets in trouble for doing less than 2, okay? And just look at these. I mean, these are these guys taking time to take someone hunting, okay? Or fishing. These kids, again, that's hugely, there's Mr. Barge right there. That's Rachel Kellner. She's a game warden out in Uvalde. Does a fantastic job. She took the weekend off, rounded up a bunch of kids, went and talked to a landowner, and took them all hunting. Another future game warden there. A little bit of technology, and I just wanted to talk about this because I mentioned very briefly that our dive team started over here. So, again, our role in public safety is important. We do a lot of drowning recoveries for individuals, and as I said, our dive team started here in East Texas. Unfortunately, it's a job that we take very seriously. It allows the family to go to the next step, and the technology has changed dramatically. We're using a lot of Sidescan sonar and a lot of techniques that you all have helped to fund, either through the Parks and Wildlife Foundation, through Gear Up for Game Warden program, or just putting a bug in the ear of your legislators. But it's changed the game for us. It's allowed us to, and it's a little morbid to talk about, but it's something that's hugely important. That's 100 feet down right there. So before we send our divers down to grab that individual and bring them up, we know exactly where they are. We drop a marker. They follow a cable down. It's within 2 or 3 feet. They're underwater for a couple of minutes instead of being underwater for hours, which is a big safety issue for us. So again, that's changed dramatically, and that's something that's sort of an emerging trend in our technology. We are very robust on social media. We have our Facebook and our Twitter, and of course Lone Star Law TV show. Be sure and follow us on Twitter and follow us on Facebook. We have almost 300,000 followers on Facebook. It's very common for us to get, after shares and likes, to have contact 1 million people per post. So it's something that, again, and many of y'all in here follow us on those social media channels. Just quickly on Sam Rayburn, this doesn't include boating, doesn't include bird watching, doesn't include camping, doesn't include hiking, doesn't include buying vessels. This just relates to fishing. Doesn't include the cost of boats, though. $47 million a year, 405 tournaments. Majority of money stays in the 6 counties surrounding this area, and it creates 135 full-time jobs, and that's one lake. That's one lake. We stopped in and looked at a boat on the way here, and that boat was $86,000. Okay, doesn't count any of that. So the economic impact and the importance of what we do and why we do it and why we conserve what we have, yes, it's the importance of our future, our kids, but it also has economic benefit. That's something that helps everybody in the room. Again, less public land and more pressure, as I said, more boaters, crowded waterways, reaching all walks of life, which is very important. Our evolving mission, it continues to evolve just like everything else. And then, as I said, utilizing technology are some of our upcoming challenges. But it's also, as I said, some of these are also good because more people become aware of how important our natural resources are. So with that, I'll be happy to take some questions. And again, I just really appreciate the opportunity to be here. You guys are great, and we'll take some questions if y'all have any, but no hog-related questions.
I'm gonna get the line.
Yep. Any questions?
What's the craziest thing you've ever come up on?
Oh, craziest thing. Well, I'll tell you a quick story. So I graduated from Stephen F. Austin, and I got the call that I was going to get hired as a Texas Game Warden, and I thought that was the best day of my life. So, I go through the academy and I graduate, and I get my 1989 Caprice car. I was like, really? I'm going to East Texas? I've got a car, Game Warden car? Okay. So I get to Woodville, and I find somewhere to live, and I put my uniform on, and I meet my partner, and he's off. And so I go out on my first patrol sort of by myself, and I go down to this boat ramp down at Barlow Lake Estates. Some of y'all might know where that is. And sort of on the way down towards Fred, Texas. And I pull up, and there's a guy coming out of the river, and the first thing I noticed was that he wasn't wearing any shoes, but that's okay because I've been here too. I've been in East Texas for a long time, and I'm good with that. But he walked up to me and he said, "Hey, are you the new game warden?" And I mean, literally, I don't know. I think I looked like I was like 14 or something. And I said, "Yeah, I'm the new game warden." My voice was squeaking a little bit. I said, "Yeah, I'm the new game warden." He went on to tell me about how good of a fisherman he was and how he knew the river, and if I ever wanted to ride along with him, I could, and all these different things. And so we had a nice little chat, and I turned to walk away. And he said, "By the way, Mr. Game Warden," I said, "Yes, sir." He goes, "The only season I believe in is salt and pepper." And I said, "Okay, all right." No, but I'm going to tell you some of the best friends I have. Some of the best friends I have are from that part of the country, and we keep in touch to this day. And I ended up chasing him a little bit, and I caught him once, but about 2 years later, I was stuck in the mud on the side of the road, and it was about 2 a.m., and it was pretty cold outside, and a car drove by and slowed down. It was him, and he pulled me out of the mud. So there you go. So Kevin, Chief of Staff Kevin Davis, so your spring break starts next week with your son. What are you guys going to do for spring break?
Coming to Rayburn to go fishing.
There you go. He's going to start spending some of that $47 million over there. Yeah. Any questions? All right, we're honored to be here and to serve y'all. And like I said, feel free to contact me. You're welcome to ask any questions or give us a call later on. And just really appreciate the opportunity to be here. God bless y'all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Carl Ray promised that he would not embarrass me by bringing you in, and he kept his word, so we appreciate it so much. For those of you who were able to celebrate our 100th anniversary at our chamber banquet, you know that our theme this year is Greater Things Are Yet to Come. The chamber is so excited and wants to be a part of your successes with your companies, and we want to give you opportunities this year to make sure that to get your entire staff plugged in. We've laid a great foundation of what we hope to accomplish this year with our organization, but it is not possible without your support and your enthusiasm. We have the entire year planned out, and there are these on your tables. They're also on our website. Every speaker, every topic has been carefully picked and secured so that you can visit with your employees and you can make decisions about what to attend, what to send your employees to, and what topics specifically will make the most impact on your companies. As of this week, we are so excited to announce that we have a brand new membership director, Amanda Crocker, and she's somewhere in here. She's in royal blue. She's in the back. We're excited to have Amanda. We stole her from the Best Western. She has an extensive background in sales and will very soon be out visiting with each of you, and we're so excited to bring her on board. As you heard me last month say, we also brought on Ashley Berry as our Director of Leadership Programs, and we are getting ready to do an overhaul of the Leadership Lufkin Alumni Program. If you are an alumni, please stop in the back. Make sure that we have your correct information. We've got all of these years of information, but nothing has been kept up to date. So we are trying to get that database back and going. There's a lot going on at 1615 South Chestnut. If you want to get involved, but you don't know where to start, come by and visit with us. Let us kind of figure out a roadmap for you and your employees and what will work for you and some things that we think might be even more impactful for your business. At this time, I'd like to bring up Sharon Shaw. I know she's here somewhere. No? Okay, well, she was going to speak to you about the coronavirus. Just so that you know, we're very proud as the Chamber to continue to work with the American of Chamber of Commerce executives, with the CDC, with the White House, and they are sending us a lot of information. We've been on numerous webinars every single week, sometimes 1 and 2, 3 times a week, and we will be hosting a forum within the next week. We'll be getting that out to you so that you can come. It's a big webinar that the CDC is going to be doing, just so that you can be aware of precautions that you might want to take if there were to be an outbreak here. Of course, we don't anticipate that, and we hope for the best, but we also want to make sure that you're educated. There's a couple of dates to remind you about. Leadership Lufkin applications are available for the 2021 class, and you can get it off of our website. You can stop by the office and grab one. There are only 25 total spots available, and over the half of the class is already full. So if you want to do that, please stop by and get your application in quickly. I also bet that you know a woman in the community who exemplifies professional excellence in leadership and actively contributes her time and energy to improve the quality of life for others in our community. And if so, we hope that you will consider nominating her for the Athena Leadership Award. These forms are on your table, and they're also available on our website. Nominations are due before March 23rd. We also, like I said, with Leadership Lufkin alumni, we want to update your information, but we also want to update your information just in our chamber database. So if you have a new job, if you have a new company, phone numbers, if you will let our staff know, we would love to update you. We also want to let you know that our next Power Networking Breakfast is March 27th. It's being sponsored by eTech, and this month's topic is company culture, hiring for cultural fit. You won't want to miss this dynamic presentation by Curtis Prunty with CHI Luke's Health Memorial. We've partnered with McWilliams & Son Heating and Air Conditioning to put on Chamber University 2.0. That's also on your table coming up March 25th or 26th. It's for frontline manager training. I told you there's a lot going on, so please take a look at the things that are on your table and research them. And I just saw Sharon walk in, so Sharon, I'm going to ask you to come up and say a few words, please.
I did just walk in. Thank you. Perfect timing. Hi. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for allowing me just a few minutes. I know I'm not on the agenda. I wanted to take this opportunity to address this distinguished group, this great group of leaders in our community in regards to COVID-19, coronavirus. We have been meeting for a couple of weeks with area stakeholders to include your school districts, your hospitals, your medical community, your city and county officials, listening and partnering with the Centers for Disease Control and the Texas Department of State Health Service on multiple phone calls a day. working with our other public health leaders across the state and the nation to make sure that we have the most updated information, and also that we're coordinating to make a plan for you, okay? So just rest assured that your city and county government have met, understand the situation, and understand what it means in their leadership role. Your healthcare community stands ready to support whatever response we need to have. We're working on plans that have graduated responses. I mean, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. If and when we see COVID-19 cases in the East Texas area, we're understanding what the testing, collection and testing looks like for us, and how we're going to make that easy for our public, and also communicate that to our physicians and our hospitals and our EDs on how to make that a streamlined operation. So Angelina Health District has been working overtime to make sure that we are lining all these things up, that we're coordinators, that we're educators. We will be providing more education. We're going to have a poster campaign and bring those to high-trafficked areas. If one last message is, let's all remember the good old-fashioned hand washing is the best protection against diseases, viruses, influenza. So let's go back to old school and make sure we do a lot of hand washing. Social distancing. Gatherings like this may be put on hold in the near future, if and when that is deemed necessary by leadership. And as business leaders, make sure you protect your employees, educate them, tell them the good information is out there at the CDC and Texas Department of State Health Services website. It's current information. It's the same information that we're getting. There's nothing hidden. Go to those sites, become educated. I hate to take questions, but I'm going to go ahead and sit down. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. If you do have questions, I know that Sharon will be here, so she would be able to answer anything, and we appreciate all that you do at the Health District to make sure that Lufkin and Angelina County is protected. If you are a golfer, we do have our Chamber Golf Tournament coming up April 6th. There are only several slots open, so make sure that you see us. And our next First Friday Luncheon will be back here on April the 3rd. Wynn Rosser with the TLL Temple Foundation will be your speaker, and we're going to do our on-time drawing, and I'm going to let you draw. Lindsay Rawls, are you here? No? Okay. Draw again. Jennifer Phillips. Yes? Yeah. Hey, Captain. Fantastic. $100 in the mail to you. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you again for speaking. Have a great weekend and a very, very safe spring break.